That's interesting.
Did everybody get kicked off?
Yeah, I was like, and then I don't see you. I'm like, am I in a different meeting? What's going on?
That was so weird. I don't know. I just got a notice that said the host is starting another
That's
meeting.
yeah, that somebody else started a new meeting. I was like, wait, where am I?
The office is going nuts at Keller Williams. What can I say? Okay, so let's start over. So how many could you commit to making per day? And then we'll figure out what it is per week, et cetera, et cetera.
And then what are the ways of finding them? Like how do you
Oh,
find them?
right. Yes. So hold on. I'm doing two things at once. I need to call the office and ask them to make me host again. So Williams, Beverly
Hey,
Hills.
Jared,
Yes.
just click on participants. And then at the bottom right, click claim host.
Oh, claim host. I don't have the key. Enter host key to claim host.
Oh,
Yeah, just kidding. So let me go call the office really quickly. And Alexandra, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. I apologize. But essentially, how we find numbers is we can either go to, so first of all, yes, friends and family and people like that. That's a great way.
Calling Keller Williams. This is Armand. How can I help you?
Hey, Armand, could you guys make me host again?
Oh, yeah.
It kicked us out for some reason. Thanks.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so back to your question. So what we like to say is first go to your friends and family. Call all your friends, all your family members, you know, even ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, whatever, what have you. Contact as many people as you know as possible and explain, hey, I just got into real estate. I'm getting my license. I just joined Keller Williams Beverly Hills. It's an amazing office. I have all the support of all the agents behind me. Are you interested in, you know, buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or however you'd want to say it? But then eventually, eventually we're going to get through all of our friends and family, and we're going to go, well, now what? Now where do we go? And that's where cold calling comes in, door knocking comes in. These all sound like very exciting things to do, but that is a huge integral part of our business. So what I always like to do, personally for me, especially if somebody's just starting out, I recommend door knocking the most. And so just so you know, everybody, we've been talking a lot about cold calling because door knocking was not permissible for throughout the entire pandemic. Now, apparently it is okay. And we can do that. So my number one suggestion is pick a neighborhood that you're very familiar with. Pick a neighborhood that you really genuinely like love, and just go door to door, introduce yourself, and just go like, hi, my name is Alexandra. I'm with Keller Williams Beverly Hills. Don't say you're just licensed, but and blah, 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 and introduce yourself and just ask if they have any real estate needs. Now it is a little bit of a long-term kind of thing that you have to do. Sometimes you do just knock on the right door at the right time, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, I just talked to my wife, or I talked to my husband about selling. We're actually going to be moving to, I don't know, Oklahoma. And so then, you know, you can get lucky in that sense. But I was able to do, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months of door knocking last year in Bel Air, and I got about $10 million worth of listings. So it is definitely worth your while to do.
How did you knock in Bel Air? I feel like you have to climb a fence there. They're also protected. It's
Not necessarily. And plus they have like door kings and ring doorbells. So I'll just ring the doorbell, you know, at the front gate.
helps, right?
Like, hey, I'm Jared.
Because
Like,
they're so big, like their homes are so, they have mansions there.
but the cool thing is in Bel Air, there's different parts of Bel Air.
Oh,
So
maybe, okay.
there are some areas that are more older homes that are kind of like smaller starter homes that sell like around like 1.7 to 2 million. I know that's crazy to say a starter home at that price range, but that's LA for you. And so I actually focus on those, the ones that are, you know, maybe somebody who lived in the house for 30 years already and they're retired. Why? Because there's also a thing called Prop 13. So they're able to take their tax basis and they have more incentive to move than, let's say, a younger person. But we're getting a little bit too much in the weeds. Now, the other thing that I recommend doing is cold calling. I love cold calling. I think it is one of the most efficient ways to contact as many people as possible. It costs a little bit of money to do, whereas door knocking is pretty much, free. And if you make some like postcards or whatever, or just some flyers from the office, it's a cost of ink and paper, so it's very, very cheap. But cold calling, you can cover hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people within an hour, and that's, if you think about it, if it's a numbers game, that's probably going to be a really good way to go about it. And so in cold calling, what you would do is you'd either talk with title and ask them for, let's say you wanted to do, I don't know, where do you live, Alexandra?
Pretty much close to Beverly Hills, like West LA.
Okay, West LA. So 90024 or 90035?
No, it's 90035. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. Oh, we're neighbors. So cool. So you would maybe do that area, let's just say Beverlywood or something like that, or Beverly Hills, for example. And you would ask for all the numbers in a certain area that you're familiar with. And they would send you to the title toolbox, and you buy them for like 5 cents a piece. And you're able to call all these people. And you just introduce yourself. Hi, my name's Alexandra. I'm with Keller Williams Beverly Hills. I was just calling to see if you have any, needs in the real estate market, blah, blah, blah. And, just talk to people that way. And you'd be surprised that, yeah, you're probably gonna have to call 100 people to get one person to go, yep, I'm ready to sell. But that one person who wants to sell in Beverly Hills, 100 calls for a $3-4 million listing. That's, how much is that? It's close to 100,000 in commission, I think. Let's say $4 million minus
40 probably.
Yeah, it's $100,000 if you have a $4 million listing. So
Okay.
I have no problem calling 100 people to get a $4 million listing. So it's definitely well worth it.
So you go through the title company, right?
So
that's how you find it.
That's the cheapest way. Now, the most effective way, in my opinion, is using what's called the Mojo Dialer. And that is a service where you can either get 1 or 3 lines, and it's an auto dialer. You upload your number list, and it just basically calls for you. And while you're calling, right on the screen, it'll say their name, their address. There's a little Zillow button. You can click the Zillow button so you can actually see the house that you're talking about. There's an area where you can write notes. If you just get an answering machine, you can click leave drop message, and it'll go on to the next call while it's dropping a message for you. It's very, very, it's literally made just for like realtors and like, people who are calling on the phones. And so that's another great way. Now that one costs money. It's like $250 a month for like the triple line dialer and a neighborhood search. And that way you can actually just in the system, you can create a search parameter, get all those numbers automatically downloaded into the system, so you don't have to do anything, and you just click that list and you just start calling. And it's much more smooth, if that makes sense, versus like getting it from title. You're just going to get a spreadsheet, and you can just use your cell phone and just start calling. But both work. One's cheaper than the other. I always say go the cheap route first, but that's what it is. But for right now, I would just say focus on calling your friends and family. And then when you're running out of people, go ahead and maybe look into either an auto dialer or the title, or even, in my opinion, which is even better, is door knocking. When you're face to face with people, you'd be surprised that one person, and I've done this before, I typically will use my auto dialer and I'll call people in a neighborhood. Like, hi, this is Jared Medlinski. I'm going to be in the neighborhood today. I'm with Keller Williams Beverly Hills. I just wanted to call to see if you or anybody you know is interested in taking advantage of the opportunities presented in today's market. And it's very cut and dry. I don't want to waste their time. They don't want to waste my time. Let's get to the point. And they go, what opportunities in this market? What do you mean? Well, I'm a real estate agent and the market's really, really hot. The last listing that I had over 300, buyers who were interested in the property. Obviously, not all 300 got it. So that's why I'm calling the neighborhood, just to see if I can find somebody who had been thinking about possibly selling in this market. As you know, the inventory is very, very low. And then they go, well, yeah, actually, I would be interested in that. Great, I'm going to be in the neighborhood today. But one person that I called using that same script said, F you, I don't want to deal with this bull, whatever, and hung up on me. And then I called him right back and I said, hey, sorry, sir. I hope we, didn't get off on the wrong foot. I'm going to be in the neighborhood today. So, I hope to see you. If not, that's okay. But I'm really sorry that I bothered you, and I hope you have a great day. That same guy, because I know his address, I went to his door and I knocked on it and I was like, hi, this is Jared Medlinski. I think we spoke earlier today on the phone. Again, I apologize if I, upset you, but I just wanted to drop off this flyer to let you know how much some of the homes are worth in the neighborhood. And that same guy who said, F you, went, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I reacted that way. I just thought you were like some telemarketer from like, Wisconsin or something like that. I'm so sorry. Yes, let me take your flyer. And no, we never did business. But my point is in person, face to face, people are a little bit less
Sure.
dismissive. They're a little bit more like, okay, hold on. I can't be a jerk right now. Like, hi, how are you? And you can actually get a little bit further in the convo. So that's why I love door knocking. But yeah. So let's get to our numbers.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now my computer mouse is not working, of course. I might need a new computer. This is horrible. Maybe it's me. Share screen. Here we go. Boom. Okay. So Alexandra, how many calls can you commit to making per day?
20, 30.
I like it. Aiming high. So 20 per day. That's 140, right? Per week, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And we have zeros for right now. Awesome. And this is session 4. Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Alexander. Glad to have you on the call. All righty. Moving on down. Miriam, how are you, my dear?
I'm very good. Thank you, Jared. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. How was your weekend?
It was amazing. And I have talked to 7 people.
Nice. How many contacts? 7 for 7, or did you make more calls?
To be honest, that was it. 7. Just 7.
7 for 7. Hey, I like those numbers. Good stuff. Well, good to have you on board. What'd you do this weekend?
I tried the maximum to meet with my friends that I didn't see for a long time and that can help me with leads. So I picked very important contacts from my phone. And I tried to meet with 3 of them.
Nice. I like it. Very cool. All righty. Pashman.
Yes, sir.
How are you, bud?
Good, how are you?
Chilling like a villain. How was your weekend? Did you make any calls and do anything fun?
I didn't make any calls. I'm just trying to right now find a balance between my current job and then prioritizing real estate, making that space for it. And then hopefully starting this week, we'll hit it strong. So 0 calls as of now. And then my weekend was good. It was my dad's birthday. So we had dinner together, so that was good.
Nice. Good stuff. Happy birthday, Dad. All righty. And just keep in mind, everybody, cold calling, if you do it effectively, and especially if you're using an auto dialer, you really only need an hour a day. So really, I want everybody to kind of imagine that. All you need is 1 hour a day to do your cold calls. That's it. So imagine you could potentially spend 1 hour a day looking for new leads and end up making, $250,000 to $500,000 a year.
What time is the best time to call, Jared?
Sorry?
What time is the best time to call them?
Anytime. There's no good time. I don't think that there's a really good time to call. Now, if you really want to get in the weeds of things, maybe first thing in the morning, like around 8 to 9 o'clock. Those are great times. Why? People are usually still at home and they're on their way to work. And sometimes you'd be surprised that people just don't want to think about work. So they might be more inclined to talk on the phone. Something that I found, it's counterintuitive, but it seems to work. Versus when they come back home from work and they're getting ready for dinner or they're pouring themselves a drink, They don't want to talk about real estate. They don't want to talk about, business. They don't want to talk about, they just want to be with their family, pour a drink, smoke a joint, whatever. Not saying that that's good, everybody. So I would say early mornings to like midday, maybe like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Those are also good times. People seem to be happy for an excuse to step away from their desk sometimes, if that makes sense. So that's what I would say.
Yes.
All righty.
Quick question, Jared.
Yes, I have an answer.
How do you access title for the phone numbers?
Contact Lauren Goldman,
Lauren Goldman.
and he's
I
with.
don't know.
Do you know who
No,
he is?
sorry. Go ahead.
Do you know who he is?
No.
Okay, hold on.
You said Lauren?
Lauren, Loren.
Oh, Lauren.
Hold on. He's with First American Title. And please tell him that I sent you, and they will take care of you. They have a whole little thing called the Title Toolbox, and you can get people's phone numbers. Send him a text message, I would say, and he'll have his assistant Alyssa contact you. Hold on. In fact, Alyssa might have an assistant at this point. I know she's knocking it out of the park. But anyway, Lauren Goldman, he's with First American Title. He'll go ahead and set you up with a title toolbox. You'll be able to go in, purchase a bunch of numbers, and start calling. And those numbers are like 5 cents a piece. So it's not that expensive.
Thank you.
Right?
Another question. I'm actually part of the Newport location. Does that matter who I contact or no?
Nope, not at all. He can
Okay.
definitely help you over there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I had a house I was going to list for like $20 million in Newport area. I forget the community, what it's called, but yeah, he got me everything and comps, to use. So
That's amazing.
no problem.
Thank you.
All righty. Cheers. Okay. Who was I just on? Josh Schneider is who I want to talk to now. Josh, how are you, bud?
Good, man. You doing well?
Good. How was your weekend? Make any calls?
I did. I'm actually, fingers crossed, about to close my first deal, which is a lease. So a lease is a deal. Yeah, we take anything we can get.
Yep.
Yeah, my calls for the week were 26, 14, and 1 appointment.
Nice.
And just want to make sure, I see there you don't have me for 10, 11, and 12. So I just want to make sure, because I started at 7 for the classes. So I just want to make sure I have all those. I should have like 2 more after.
Perfect.
After
Just
4.
put it in. Just put it in. Thank you for reminding me. And everybody, if I miss one, I do the honor roll system. If you the honor system, excuse me. If you notice I missed you on one, just let me know. I'll put it in. No problem. All righty. Well, very good, Josh. Congratulations on the hopeful closing. And Albert, are you raising your hand or raising the roof?
I'm raising my hand and the roof, but you forgot
Okay.
the T in my name. So I just want to let you know that.
Sorry, what's that?
I forgot the T in my name.
Oh, I just have you as Albert. I do. Thank you. Awesome. And so, yeah, why do we do leases? I hate leases, but why do we do them? Because they turn into listings. I have this awesome client who's like a total hippy dippy kind of yoga chick, and her mind just does not work like mine. It goes all over the place. One day she wants this, the next day she wants that. She sends me the stuff. Anyway, I was getting really super frustrated. And she's like, oh, I just want to lease. And I'm like, oh my God. And then eventually we start talking on the phone. And a property of hers that I just leased out, she was like, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I want to sell it. So that's why we deal with leases, because those people who are either landlords or they're renters become buyers. Landlords eventually might want to sell their lease listing. So that's why we deal with leases. They turn into business, and why not, make a couple bucks, for helping somebody find a, a rental property. It's still, let's say you put in, what I always like to say is like, yeah, maybe I'm working with this person for like a month and a half to find them a lease. But in reality, I'm just setting up a search, which takes what, 15, 20 minutes to do. Maybe if it's really detailed or a really widespread area, maybe an hour. Then after that, I'm just setting up appointments when they contact me. So that's what, another, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes out of my day. The point is maybe I have one full work day put into this lease of actually doing work, and I still get, $5,000, at the end of the day. I'm down. Absolutely. 100%. I'll take that all day, any day. So do leases. They help, they get your business going. So good stuff, Josh. Congratulations. Or
Thank you.
pre congratulations. All righty. Parker Johnson.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too shabby. How was your weekend? Make any calls?
It was good. I was actually at a family member's 40th birthday. I've been slow this weekend, so no calls, but talking to a bunch of people.
Do I have you on here? I'm looking for your name.
Just passed my real estate test Wednesday.
Oh boy,
That's
good
something
job.
new. Yeah.
Nice. Parker, I've seen you before on these classes, but do I have you written down?
No, I don't think so. I started at 11 last way through. I did 11, 12, and then I skipped last Wednesday because I had to test.
Okay. So let's get you on here. So 11, 12, and then any more that you've been on?
1, 2, what's today? Today's 4.
Yeah.
So I skipped 3.
Awesome. Sorry about that. So yeah,
No
everybody,
worries.
I'm not perfect. I sometimes get caught up in the convo and forget. Awesome. So how many can you commit to calling per day, then per week, and then we'll see what the actual was.
Yeah, I'm going to do 1070.
Perfect.
And then what are the next 2 slots? It's like the amount of contacts actually reached.
Yeah.
Or
So how many
appointments set.
calls? So for example, like let's say the last time you were on was last Wednesday, let's just say. I know that you missed that one, but how many calls did you make from Wednesday until Monday? And then how many did you actually speak to? So we're trying to have some numbers so we can quantify like, all right, do I need to make more calls? Can I make less calls? Like, am I spending too much time on this? Can I spend less? By the by, you can never spend too much time lead generating, but there is a point where you have to ask yourself, am I burning myself out doing this? You'll hear some people like who are like really high producing agents that literally call like 500 numbers a week. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of calling. I can't work that way. My brain doesn't work that way. I have too much ADHD. I'm all over the place. So not for me. But you can ask yourself like, well, all right, how's my quality of life right now? Like, am I still closing deals? Am I getting leads? Yes, maybe I can scale back a little bit and focus on my internet marketing or my email marketing or my this, you know what I mean? So we want to have numbers that we can track. So how many, do you have any numbers to report, Parker?
So this next one is, what do you mean numbers? Like appointment set?
Yeah, well, no. So for example, number of calls made and then actually contacted since last time.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the first slot for 10 is actually how many people contact. Okay. So actually no calls since Wednesday. Just been crazy busy with other stuff.
No worries.
But talk to a good amount of people actually in person this weekend. So I'd say about 20 in person.
Cool.
As far as calls known. Yeah.
20. Beautiful. Awesome. Very cool. All righty. Now let's see. Who am I missing? Shannon Schuster.
Hello. I have 34, 20, and 1.
Good job, Shannon. I love it. Awesome. Any that, what was the one? You got an appointment?
Well, my good friend owns the gallery department, which is a pretty well-known fashion brand, I guess. So yeah, he wants to buy a home in Malibu, so he said that he would work with me. So
damn, get that Malibu.
I know.
Very cool. Well, just so you know, I have an office in Malibu. All righty. What's he looking for in Malibu?
I'm not sure yet. We haven't like discussed it yet, but
You know his budget roughly? Do you know his budget roughly?
no.
No? Okay. Well, if you do find that out, I do have a great property in Malibu if you get down to that point, and I'm happy to show. It's off market, so beautiful ocean views, but it's a little bit up the hill a bit. It's not ocean.
Good to
All
know.
right. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Good. All righty. So today is power session number 4, and thank you all for reporting your numbers. That's awesome. And let's get after it. Hold on. Here we go. And new share. Okay. Okay. Power session number 4, win the seller. Okay. So we did our reporting, and good job, everybody. I did like 38 and 27 or something like that. And I think I got a new listing. So that's awesome for me. But let's get into, now I'm not going to go over the handwritten notes too much. Again, I really find them to be a nice touch on to complement your cold calling or your door knocking, for example. Whenever you have a nice conversation with somebody, even if it's not necessarily about real estate. So let's say you're talking to a lady and you're like, hi, I'm Jared. I'm with Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. And she goes, Jared, I know Keller Williams. I'm not selling. The only way I'm leaving this house is feet first, meaning she's going to die there. Great, not a problem. And then we have a nice conversation about, I don't know, the weather. I see a picture of her on a boat, behind her when I'm talking to her in front of her house. And we start talking about fishing and boating, and, maybe there's I don't know, something like that. Or maybe she has really nice art. We talk about art for a little while, I think I'm very, very well versed in art, in the art world, whatever it might be. When I get back home, I make a little note, talked about art, whatever. I get back home, I pull out my stationery or write a handwritten note. Mrs. Blah, blah, blah. It was lovely talking with you. I understand that you're not going to be selling, but I just wanted to say it was a real pleasure speaking with you today about art. Again, I have a Richard Diebenkorn sculpture that's for auction. Fingers crossed. Let's stay in touch. It's always nice to meet somebody in the neighborhood. Cheers, Jared Medlinski, Keller Williams, Beverly Hills. Put that in the mail, send it out to her. And why do I do that? Can anybody tell me why would I do that? I know she's not going to sell, but why am I doing that?
Because maybe in the future she will, and she changed her mind.
Maybe. What are some other reasons?
She will probably know people who will move at some point. She can refer you.
Gabby with the $1 million answer. I love it. Yes, she might know somebody who wants to sell. Her girlfriend, who she plays canasta with every single weekend, all of a sudden says, you know what? I've decided to take advantage of the Prop 13 and I'm going to sell my place and move to Palm Springs. Boom. You know what? I know this great realtor. He's so sweet. We talk about art all the time. And he wrote me a handwritten note. Can you believe it? When was the last time you received a handwritten note? Oh, my kids never even write me. They just send me a text message. Oh my gosh. Anyway, point is, they will give me a call because I'm this nice guy who likes to have conversations with nice old ladies that are not about selling their house. The point is we always want to build rapport. Building rapport is the quickest way to getting into a position where they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And that's really what it is. Who do you want to do business with? Somebody that you know, somebody that you like, and somebody that you trust. And the only way to get around that is if it's a referral, if somebody refers you to somebody else. So, for example, like the lady that we talked to. So handwritten notes are very important. It could be as simple as thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It was great to catch up with you, blah, 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 whatever. But just get it in the mail, send it to them, and then follow up with a phone call. All righty. So get your head in the game. Let's review what we are in the selling. Let's review where we are in the selling process. So far in these classes, we've worked on capturing contacts, connecting with them, then closed by asking for business and referrals. All while we have cultivated the relationship by adding our contacts to marketing campaigns. Now it is time to work with sellers. By the way, has anybody done any of the, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if they haven't been offering them, the command classes? Do they still have those?
Yes.
Okay. I highly recommend doing these classes. Get onto command, learn it, so you can set up email marketing campaigns. This is a drip campaign that you can send out a weekly newsletter or a monthly newsletter. You can do stuff such as, just cute little, pictures of yourself. I'm in real estate, remember me, whatever it might be. But we really want to make sure we're touching all these people throughout the year, not just with our door knocking, not just with our cold calling. If we are able to capture contact information such as an email, address, phone number, etc., we want to make sure we're following up with either text messages, emails, or postal mail. All right. So anyway, the pre-listing package and the listing presentation are the 1-2 punch that provides sellers with all the information they need about the selling process and how your services will benefit them. The two complement each other and set you up for a win-win listing presentation that leads to a signed agreement to get their property sold. Now, the pre-listing packet and listing presentation are primary ingredients in turning an appointment into a signed listing agreement. Now, we have been talking about getting leads for the first 3 classes, and we're still going to talk about getting leads for the remainder of these 12 courses. So the big thing that we want to remember, leads are the name of the game. It's the foundation. If we take this funnel and turn it upside down, it looks like a pyramid. And at the base, the foundation of this pyramid, the thing that keeps everything up is leads. But let's revert it back into a funnel. The more leads we get, the more appointments we get, the more appointments we get, the more agreements we get, the more agreements, the more contracts, and the more money, payday. So let's focus on listings for this class. Absolutely, that's what we're going to do. We have a video that we're going to watch. Listings provide more exposure. So by the by, I know that it says the answers right on the page, but let's talk about it. Why are listings amazing? I'm going to actually take it off the page real quick. Why are getting listings so important for our business? Aside from working with buyers, which are great, why is it that listings could help grow our business even more?
Can I say?
Absolutely.
Why I think it's important? I
Yep.
don't know. I just feel like with listings, it's kind of more like a guarantee. It's kind of more like, it's like not just even in the real estate market, just like if you have something to sell, people are going to come to you to buy it, whereas if you have a buyer, they might take forever to buy. They might be looking for that perfect home. You know what I mean? But a listing, as long as somebody can get approved, get a loan for it, they're gonna buy it, and with interest rates being the way that they are.
Yep.
You have investors, you have all types of people that are willing to buy,
Absolutely. And if you're like me, I'm like, I like to call myself a sprinter. I don't like marathons. Buyers are marathons. I have to say it. When you're working with a buyer, it's the long haul. It might take them a month to find something. It might take them 6 months to find something. It could, like one of my buyers, take up to 2 years, 2.5 years actually, to find something eventually. And that's just the name of the game with buyers. You can't force somebody to do something. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it. You can't make it drink. And that's what buyers are like. You can explain to them that the market is really, really competitive. You can explain to them that prices are really high, but hey, interest rates are really low. So that's what's more important. You can explain this, up to wazoo, but it's ultimately up to the buyer to make that decision. When you're writing the offer, if your buyer wants to go in $50,000 below asking, but you already know that it's priced $50,000 below market value, we all know as realtors where that listing is going to sell at. It's probably going to sell well above asking price because it's already $50,000 below market value. But your client still wants you to write $50K under ask price. You do it, and it is what it is. But a listing, that sells itself. Once you do the grunt work, you have something that is pretty much going to market itself. The buyers are going to come to you. You have the thing of value, and it's just so much easier. Once you do that grunt work, that little sprint, it's self-run. It's a smooth running machine. The marketing setup, this is set up. You have scheduled days to do your open houses, and that's all you got to do. And then after that, you just worry about escrow. So it's great. Now, what's another reason why listings are so important? How could it help build your business?
You can meet a lot of buyers who are already looking, and then also it's your picture and your advertising, so you get more publicity.
Gabby, you are coming in hot. Absolutely. 100%. Imagine you have a big sign with your face on it in a neighborhood that you want to do business in. All the neighbors have to pass it whenever they drive by the house. They're going to see your name, your phone number, your picture in front of this house. And if you do a good job, they're going to go, oh, damn, that agent sold it really, really quick and for a great price. How much better advertising could you ask for? You really can't get much better advertising. So that's why listings are so great. Plus, what Gabby so astutely pointed out is that you are holding open houses. You have a trickle of buyers coming in, buyers who are pre-approved, buyers who are ready to buy, and you're able to then convert them possibly into your own clients. Now, if they say that they have an agent, I strongly advise you to be very, very tactful of how you approach them. You want to ask if they have a signed buyer's agreement with them. If they don't, I wouldn't call them fair game. I would just say, do your best job to show how amazing of an agent you are. And if they decide to work with you, then so be it. It's business. It is what it is. So
Jared?
whenever, yes.
Another cool thing about listings is, you know, when you hold those open houses, inevitably the people from the neighborhood come in to meet you and see what you're going to do and how you're going to do what you do. And it's like, without even having to think about it, you're going to build a relationship with those people, and, you know, it works out pretty well that way.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. That was the next point I was going to make, is that this is a pre-interview for your future listings in that neighborhood. Oftentimes, the people who are thinking of selling are going to be the people in the neighborhood, are going to be some of the people who show up to your open house. You might not realize it at the time, but they're actually interviewing you as their future listing agent. So listings are multi-powered marketing tools, just easy way to put it. You get buyers, you can get more listings, and it's great exposure for yourself. When you are making all these big internet advertisement campaigns, advertising your listings, yeah, sure, you're advertising the listing and you're trying to sell it, but you're also advertising yourself. So when you make these campaigns on the internet that go out to thousands and thousands of people, remember, the big thing that you want to focus on is your name and your address and your email and your phone number, because you want more leads. So let's watch this video real quick. What happened to, sorry, 1 second. I have to open up a tab again. Okay, let's get into the video. I have to load it real quick. I thought I had the tab open. I apparently closed it. Give me a moment. And now, admittedly, listings, they take a lot of, grunt work in the initial phase. You might have to stage the property. You may have some light repairs that need to be done. There's a lot of different things that can kind of pop up whenever you have a listing. But once it's all taken care of, it's pretty much runs itself. And that's what I love about listings. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this video. Let me share my screen. And let's have a combo after.
Hi, my name is Gene Rivers, and I'm here today to tell you how to develop your listing skills to a very high level. And after you've done that, you'll be able to go in and take over market share. Number one, the best source for listing leads is from your sphere and past client list. The fact is, the people you know the people that are going to be moving, whether it's at church, school, work, friends, relatives. Focus on making sure they understand you're in the listing business. Create a pre-listing package that you would give every seller, but rename it your guide to selling homes successfully in your market. And then give that to the people in your database that you know have influence, that's collateral materials that they can give to their friends and refer you. Step two, focus on an area, product, or price range. When you develop mastery of a product or an area, you will much more quickly succeed in those areas. And in that area or in that product or price range, focus on the FSBOs in that area, the expireds in that area, door knock in that area, geographic farm in that area, and I'm talking a fairly tight area, so that the people in that area will really identify with you as someone who can help them sell property for top dollar with low hassle in a short amount of time. Now we're at number 3. Everyone today that's looking at hiring an agent, whether it's a referral, even a past client, or a stranger who's gotten your name somehow, they're going to check you out on the web. So you need to make sure that your website is competent, that you've got basic, powerful content in there, and specifically that on the landing page, the very opening page, there is a direct offering to a seller. Find out what your home is worth, get a guide to selling your home. But if you don't do that, you're going to miss opportunities, because people will get your name, check your website out and go, I don't think so. I've seen a lot better sites. Fix your website with a database that you are working on a consistent basis, and with a tight focus. You build your reputation. If you're visible, you will find you will take over more and more listings, and in a very short amount of time, in 12 to 24 months, you will own that market. That's how you take market share.
All righty. What are some things that stood out?
Website is very important.
I love that one, because I want to touch upon that for a little bit. The website is important. However, don't spend too much time or money on your website. Websites are great. It needs to be competent. This was made by the by in like 2014 or 2016 or something like that. Websites are important. They definitely are, but you don't want to spend so much time and money on it that you're not actually doing the business. Because the truth of the matter is, and if you look on the back end on my website, if I look at the back end, I maybe get like 1 view every 2 months. Like, really, I don't get a lot of traffic on that thing. Where I do get a lot of my traffic on is my Instagram, my phone, text messages, and door knocking and stuff like that. He is right. You need to have a competent website, but my website is just the website that I have from Keller Williams, and it works. It works just fine for me. You can search for homes on it. You can find out how much your home is worth. There's a landing page. You can fill out a questionnaire for me to like contact you, and that's fantastic. But honestly, don't spend too much time on it. It needs to be competent, is what he said. So for example, what do I mean by that? There are people who make like $15,000 websites in their first year of real estate, and then they're out of the business within a year. So just make sure it's competent. Make sure that it works. All right. But yes, you should have a website that works. And the good thing is at Keller Williams, we get our own websites for free through Command, and we can modify it for free on our end through Command. So I highly recommend going into Command and checking out your website, uploading your own photo, uploading, all the info and about me and all that fun stuff. So it needs to be competent. What else was important about that?
Said focus on a tight area.
Yes. What is your product? What do you sell? Are you just, are you just, I'll sell anything, or do you focus on an area? I like to focus on Bel Air, because that's, an area that I'm very invested in. I know the area well. I grew up on Beverly Glen, which is a little bit outside of Bel Air, but I know the streets very, very well. I've been local to the area my whole life. There's another area that I focus on, which is in the Upper Fairburn School District area. So yeah, those are areas that I strongly focus on. And that's a geographic farm. Now, for somebody else, they may be the condo king or queen, and all they do is condos, and that's what they focus on. So figure out what your niche is and really go all in on that. Anything else that came up? I think we talked about a couple of the things, how much exposure you get from your listings, but was there anything else that seemed to pop out? Yes, Joseph.
I thought it was cool how he said to create that seller's guide and then rename it your guide to selling homes successfully, and then put your area in there. I thought that was pretty cool, because you know, that might be something that you can just leave with somebody, and just from that title, they'll check it out, you know, and
Yep.
then maybe they'll have questions and then contact you, you know. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep, absolutely. And again, you know, one of the best ways I think there is to meet, you know, the neighbors is to knock on their doors, get out there, leave them some interesting material for them to read over. Very cool. All righty. Anybody else think of anything that they wanted to mention that came up on the in the video? All right. Okay, let me get back into the whatchamacallit. All right. Okay, so very good. Make it happen. Working with sellers. It's time for your hard work to and lead generation to pay off. Time to win the listing agreement. You have two tools, an informative pre-listing packet and a high impact listing presentation. Together, they will help achieve the following. Pre-qualify the sellers to understand the motivation, position yourself as an expert, win the listing, allow you to price the home to sell for the most amount of money in the shortest time frame, properly set seller expectations, allowing you to create a great customer experience. Okay, pre-qualifying the seller. Why is pre-qualifying the seller important? And what does that mean? So I'm just going to say it down below, but here, I'll take that away from you. Why is it important to pre-qualify the seller?
To make sure he's able to really sell his house.
Absolutely. Are there any liens on the property? Do they owe money to the bank? Are they actually going to make a profit if they sell? You know, all these things are very important, but also what other things could we do in the pre-qualification process for selling?
Can I ask if they have a place to go once it's sold? Like, I know a lot of people want to sell their homes and then they don't have anywhere to go, and they're like, oh, you know, maybe we got to wait 6 months now.
Absolutely. Do you have a plan after it sells? You know, also, you know, maybe we want to check, well, actually, let me ask you, is there any other things that we want to find out about the seller before we take a listing or get in our car to meet with them?
Are they willing to do what it takes to sell the home?
Yes.
Will they?
What's another way of saying that? How realistic are their
expectations?
Absolutely. If you have a seller who lives in Culver City but wants to sell their house for $20 million, there's something not adding up there. So, you know, we want to make sure that we understand, you know, how much do you think your house is worth? You know, what's your reason for selling? You want to also find their motivation. Is your mortgage in good standing? How much left do you owe on the home? You know, we want to find all these things out because knowledge, frankly, is
key.
What?
It's key.
It's key, and it's also power. Knowledge is power. We are in a much more powerful position in negotiating the more information that we have. If there is, you know, for example, if you didn't know that they needed to sell so they can move to Florida where they can buy, you know, a great home for $500,000, you may think it's a no deal because, you know, the house is the oldest on the block. It's never been updated. And you're like, oh gosh, they're never going to sell. They're going to want $2 million, but it's only worth 1.3. If you knew that they have to do it for a job change, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They have to sell. So, you know, you might want to take that listing agreement, even if you know you're going to have to reduce it a little bit later. So, you know, knowledge is power, and we want to find out as much as possible. So let's get into that. When calling to set a listing appointment with the seller, you will want to confirm important details, including their motivation to sell. Pre-qualifying the seller will help you prepare the listing appointment and gives you insight into the mindset of the seller. It also helps to avoid wasting your time on those who aren't truly serious about selling their property. The pre-qualifying process is a conversation with a goal to get to know the seller better. Use the scripts and questions on the next page as a guide to the conversation. Okay, I highly recommend everybody printing this out. This is page 14, or maybe taking a screenshot, whatever you want to do. But I like print. I like to have something I can hold in my hands. But this is a great way. So for example, if you're cold calling have this in your on the side. You know, you're not going to need it every single cold call, but just have it ready on the side. So when all of a sudden they go, yeah, I am interested in selling, you go, oh, what? Okay. Yeah, give me a second. Hold on. Where's my paper? Where's the page? Oh, okay, great. Well, let me ask you a couple questions. No, you don't want it to sound like that. Yeah, I know I am interested in selling. Great. That's awesome. Well, let me first get your first name and your last. Awesome. And your address is blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. And is this, and before we get it into the nitty gritty, is this a good phone number for me to use whenever I need to contact you? Okay, great. So when are you available for me to come by and take a look? Appointment, date, time, etc. Oh, 2 o'clock is great. Awesome. Write down 2 o'clock. Appointment date, the date and the time, etc. Great. So do you have 5 minutes so I can ask you some very important questions before I can come to meet you? Sure, absolutely, Jared. Great. And then I go through 1 through 12 or whatever. So, and here are some of the questions that we're going to want to ask them, and I am going to go through them all. How did you hear about me? That's one. Now, if you're cold calling, obviously that's not a question you're going to ask. But let's say you get a lead from the internet, you get somebody calling you, whatever. How did you hear about me? You want to know that. Where are you moving? You write that down. What's motivating you to move there? How soon do you have to be there? If we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? If yes, what would that problem be? Now, how important is 5? Very important. Very, very important. You know, the answer to this question may be very telling. If they say, oh, well, if we sold, I'd have to, find another property. What does that tell me? They don't really think it's going to sell? Okay, well, that's raising a couple question marks. Now, if they said, well, no, I need an additional month because my start date doesn't start for X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, that makes sense. We'll just have to have an extended escrow. No problem. We can take care of that. But that question is very important, is what I'm saying. Okay, number 6. What would happen if your home did not sell? How much do you want to list your home for? How much do you owe on the property? I'll be sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it before we meet? And what is that packet of information that we'd be sending them? The pre-listing packet. And that's going to have a lot of answers to a lot of questions that they're going to have. So it's going to allow you to have a much more rapport building listing appointment rather than just, going over like the nitty gritty. Do you have any questions before we meet? That is huge. If they have any questions that need answering, you want to know now. So you could be prepared to walk into that meeting with all the answers to all their pressing questions ahead of time. So you don't have to go, let me think about that. Let me get back to you. So you want to know those questions beforehand. Will all decisions makers be there when we meet? That's important. If no, then let's meet another time. Great. Just so you know, our meeting will take between 30 and 60 minutes. Is that okay? Great. I look forward to meeting with you on the date that you already agreed upon. So this is a very important pre-qualifying questionnaire, just to make sure we're not wasting our time. Okay, so that thing that we're going to send them is the pre-listing packet. An effective pre-listing packet positions you as a real estate expert of choice, the best person to get their home sold for the right price in the least amount of time, and with the least hassle. The pre-listing packet plays 2 critical roles. Pre-selling, the pre-listing materials are specifically designed to build sellers' confidence in you and to answer their questions and objections in advance of your presentation. Saving time. A strong pre-listing packet will make the consultation experience go smoother and probably shorter than it would have otherwise been. Get your copy out and let's take a closer look at the pre-listing packet, a guide to selling your home. We are not going to go through all of these because they are on command and you can go ahead and do that yourself. And I highly recommend everybody getting onto command. If you are not a licensed agent yet and you're not officially signed up to Keller Williams Beverly Hills, you don't have access to this yet. So we will go over this a little bit, but we're just going to kind of glance over it right now. But for everybody who is signed up at Keller Williams, go ahead onto command, log in, and look for the marketing materials, and it should be in there. Okay.
So Jared, quick question.
Yes.
Are you using the same listing presentation every time, or do you change it up?
Yes, so good question. I don't change it drastically. I change it to fit their specific either personalities or needs or whatever. So I just kind of lightly change it. Does that make sense, Parker?
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's something like, I don't know. If they're a person who I know it's going to be an uphill battle to get them to a realistic number to sell their house, the pre-listing packet might include comps of other homes, but I'm not going to go, this is what I think your home is worth. So I might take
Okay. Yeah.
I might, change the title page to, have a little note that's addressed to them, but the note that I have is the same one that I have for all my clients. So, my mission statement, dear blah, 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 blah. My mission statement is da, 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 whatever. So, just little stuff like that is what I would do. But overall, it's going to be pretty much the same. And I like it that way. So when I'm in the listing presentation, I'm not thinking about what's on the next page. I already know. So
right. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. I will help you by taking time to understand your wants, needs, expectations, answering. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's all about you. This is basically like, it could either be your mission statement, your, this one's an all about you kind of thing, how I do business, why I'm awesome kind of thing. Get ready to list. 5 factors affecting the value of your property. This one's very important. Recent sales, location, condition, competition, timing. These are all questions that are going to come up on your listing presentation. And you want them to already have that in their mind. Already say, hey, listen, recent sales, that's how we're going to come up to a price. Location, this is very important. Are you on the view side of the street or are you on the hill side of the street? Because this side of the street has a view of the entire city, and this one has a view of the back side of a hill. It's not really as beautiful. Location's very important. Condition. Did you remodel your home in the last 20 years, or is it the original, porcelain, or what's not porcelain? I'm forgetting it. Linoleum floors. Yeah, linoleum. Or is it the original linoleum in the kitchen? You want to make sure, like, what are we talking about here? All righty. Get ready to sell. This is one of my favorite things in my listing presentation, getting ready to sell price. If you list your home priced at market value, you'll typically, according to studies, get about 60% of the market share that's of the buyers in the market who are looking at that location to come to your open house. You'll get 60% of the people to look at it. If you're priced 10% above market value, you'll only get 30% of the market looking at your home. If you're 15% above market value, you're only going to get 10% of the market. Those are some telling numbers. Now, on the flip side, if you're 10% below market value, you'll get 75% of the market who's looking at that specific area, that specific price range to have interest in your home. If you're 15% below, you'll have 90% of it. Now, if you don't want to go any lower because people might think that there's something wrong with the house, but 10 to 15% below market value, depending on the location, very, very powerful tool. And when sellers look at this diagram, they realize, oh, wow, don't be greedy. And so that might even just take somebody from 10% above market value but they actually believe it's worth that much, down to market value, which is a win in itself. Trying to get them even further down might be hard, but if we can at least get them at market value, we're good to go. I don't know anybody from Salinas. Sorry about that. So this is a very, very important page in the pre-listing packet. Okay, condition. It goes into condition, why it helps to sell, questions for the seller, questions for you. What's the most important things you're looking for in a listing agent? Prior to real estate transaction experience, what prior experience have you had? All that fun stuff. How would you like to be communicated with? Email, phone, text, etc. These may seem a little bit elementary, but I assure you, sellers appreciate that. You know, they want to know that their agent is going to be there for them, but also not annoy the shit out of them. I hate to use that, you know, that kind of language, but I'm telling you, us realtors, we are known for being annoying, and it is what it is. You know, we're just doing our jobs, but you know, we don't want to annoy our clients. So by asking these questions, it's setting them up for, hey, they respect my boundaries. They respect me as the seller. So definitely ask these questions. Okay, about you. You're going to have an about me, your expertise, technology, communication, clients for life, awards, recognitions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Alrighty, listen to a master. We have another video coming on up right now, and let's get into it. Boom. And we'll have a quick convo after this. Oh, this guy's good.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath from Vancouver, Canada. I'm with Keller Williams for 8 years and been selling real estate for 18 years. Now I'm going to walk you through my listing presentation, and it's a 3-step process. The first part is preparation, the second part is presentation, and the third part is follow-up. A lot of my listings come by way of referral and repeat. And so when the call comes in and they want me to come over and list their home, I have a conversation about what their needs are. What exactly is it you're looking to do? Are you moving up? Are you moving down? I have them tell me exactly what the reasons are that they're selling for. I get a real sense of what direction that they want to go. One of the things that we've done to make my appointment setting a little easier is we've time blocked. We follow what Gary says. He says time block everything that you do. And we've time blocked our slots in advance for listing appointments. Every day, Monday to Friday, we have a slot available at 4 o'clock and a second slot available at 5:30. So I've got a potential of 10 listing appointments Monday to Friday. That makes my life a lot easier because I'm able to time block my lead generation first thing in the morning and not have my day so loose and scattered. So I'm trying to scramble on where to put a listing appointment. What we do now in our team is we've decided to go paperless with our evaluations, our CMAs. So instead of printing off paper, what we'll do is we'll take it on the computer and convert it to PDF, mark it up with a highlighter from there on the computer, and then create an email from that, email that package off to our client prior to going out to their home to list it. What I do when I go on a listing presentation is I meet the sellers at the door and I have them take me on a tour of the property. During that time, I'm actually asking them to tell me again, to recap again, what their motivation is for selling. So I'm getting them more comfortable about them moving out of their house is what I'm doing. That usually takes about 5 minutes. And when we're done there, we transition right over to the kitchen table. We'll talk about the market, the evaluation itself, and that in itself is about 15 minutes. Once we've agreed upon a price that we're going to list at, we'll sign a listing contract. They sign the initial 3-page contract. They sign the property disclosure statement, and they sign the working with a realtor brochure. Outside of those 3 documents, that's it. I send in my measuring company to come in and measure the home. I send in my stager who's going to contact them to come in and stage the home. And once she's done, then I send in the photographer and take the photos of the home. We always do a follow-up with them as well, just to say, how did that go? What was that experience like for you? Keeps them feeling like they're in control and very much a part of the process. And it lets them know that we're paying attention to every detail on their listing prior to it even being on the market. One of the expectations that I set with the sellers is that I phone them twice a week on purpose. So I set their expectation for me to phone them on Monday mornings with what's called the Monday morning update, where I review everything that's happened for their home over the past weekend with them. The second call that I set them up for to expect is on Fridays, and that's a Friday morning market update. And what I've set them up for is that I'm going to talk to them about any new listings that have hit the market, any expireds that have come off the market, and any solds that have actually just happened since that past week. They also know that on Friday, we're going to be talking about the numbers. Does the current list price that we're at right now still make sense in relation to the latest listings or the most current solds? They know in advance that that conversation could lead to a price reduction. And a lot of times they bring that on themselves. They say, hey, look, you know what? It looks like we might be a bit high, Josh. Should we bring it down? So it's a natural transition to a price reduction. One of the reasons I choose not to do a pre-listing package is when I'm sitting in front of them, I really want their full focus and attention. I want their attention on me, and I want to be able to ask them questions where they're giving me their full attention and not flipping through a pre-listing package. Most of their questions are going to come straight from their gut, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm Josh Bath, and I just shared my listing presentation with you, and I wish you all the best with yours.
All right. So, what are some ahas from that little video that we just watched there? Anything stand out?
I got a question about staging, please.
Yes.
Do you, when you do staging, do you use your own money to do it?
No, they usually pay for it themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So staging, so just so you know, at Keller Williams, what we have to offer is in-house, we can do staging, we can finance it through the sale. So what does that mean? If your seller is a little strapped for cash and they can't afford to do staging, but they realize that their house needs to be updated to, you know, get the amount of money that they want or need or whatever, we can use it's not in-house, but it's a company that we've partnered with, and they'll go ahead, they'll meet with the seller, they'll review all the options that they have, and if they need to move some clutter out, they need to put some stuff in storage, they can encompass all of that into the project, and then go ahead and bring staging in and all that fun stuff, all for, you know, whatever the price comes out to. But the cool thing is instead of paying money out of pocket, like, okay, stager, here's, you know, $10,000 to do all the staging and all the moving and all that, you know, stuff and repairs, we'll pay you once we sell the house. So the money's taken out of escrow. So there's never money out of pocket for the seller. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's like a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a great tool to have for us, frankly, because that question sometimes does come up, Miriam. You know, well, we want to sell, but, you know, we want it staged. Can you stage it for us? It's like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can't pay for it, but out of the proceeds of the sale, you can, you know, get staging. And then they go, well, wow, you know, I don't want to spend $15,000. Well, let's talk about how beneficial staging is. I'm going to go onto my Instagram really quickly. Instagram, oh, there we go. Log in.
Take your own photos, Jared?
No. I mean, on my Instagram, I take my own photos, but for my listings, no, I don't.
You hire someone?
Yes, I hire, I use a company called Virtuance. They're not necessarily the cheapest, but I've never been upset with any of my photos that I've received from them. They're all gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to share my Instagram really quickly on the screen, not because I'm trying to promote myself, but because I have a thing I want to show you all. Okay, so here's my Instagram. I'm looking for, hold on. This is a property that we sold a while ago. So this property, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this property, do you think that, do you think this looks nice? It might not be your personal touch, your personal style, but do you think the picture came out nice? The staging looks nice?
I think it's very, very nice.
Okay, this is what it looked like before.
Wow.
So the difference between this photo and the other photo, one, it was professionally done. This photo was just taken on my cell phone, and I was focusing on the window, so it made the inside look a little bit darker. But what you can't see is there was cobwebs up in the rafters. The white walls was like, it wasn't exactly white. It was kind of like beigeish almost. So what we did is we came in, we painted all the walls, you know, stark white. We went ahead and I think we did like a little bit of a touch up on the wood rafters just to kind of make them look a little darker and put a little shine onto it. And then but honestly, there's no additional light added into this photo. What's cool about professional photographers is they're able to take a camera and put it on their little tripod, and while they're taking the picture, they're taking a picture and they do one that's focused on the window, one that's focused on the rafters, one that's focused on I don't know, the little table in the thing, and then another that's focused on the archway. And why are they doing that? Because they're going to stitch all those photos together. Using Photoshop in real estate is illegal. So there's actually no Photoshop used in this picture at all. This is all just a photo being taken from different exposures and different depth points. And so what they do is they stitch that all together into one image. So it actually works a little bit more like the natural eye. When you're looking at something, like if you're looking out into the distance and you focus on something far away, everything on your peripheral kind of blurs a little bit. Versus when you look at the entire room, everything in the distance kind of blurs away a little bit too. So if you look at this picture and you stare at the window, all the sides kind of blur out. But if you focus on the sides and you focus on the details, those start to pop again. Versus this one, you know, you try to focus on the rafters, but obviously that's not what the focal point was. So the only thing that's really clear and in view is maybe the floors and the window. So that's the power of a professional photographer. And then also staging. How much do you think it cost us to do the staging and the professional photography?
Maybe 10.
So the entire thing cost less than $15,000. And what I want to point out to you all is the little thing that I wrote in here. How important is staging? Before staging, when we showed the property looking like, oops, didn't mean to do that. Before I sold the property and it looked like this, and before we staged the property, it looked like this, we received offers at $1.2 million. So it looked like that. We received offers at 1.2 million. After staging, we received multiple offers and sold for 1.7 million. Would you stage to net $500,000 more? Yes, most people will say absolutely yes. And you know, that's the truth of the matter. If you have an old home that looks like it needs a little bit of work, keep in mind, just by staging it and maybe slapping a little bit of paint somewhere could literally make the difference of $500,000 in sales price. And the cool thing is we can do it all and pay through it at the close of escrow. This particular stager does not offer that. This is Meredith Bear. They're the best stager in the business. We were able to do the staging for, I think, around $8,000. And the rest was, we hired a contractor to do, like, you know, paint, fixing some things around the house, cleaning up the tiles, regrouting the tiles a little bit just to make them look a little bit nicer, like in the kitchen. We added some sod in the backyard, so grass was growing a little bit better. But the point is let me ask the class, would you urge your client to spend $15,000 to get $500,000 more?
Of course.
Absolutely. So that is the importance of having professional photographers and stagers, because we had, we probably had 300, 400 people come in the course of like 2 weekends. So, I mean, we knocked it out of the park, frankly. That was Sharon Caffey and I. And she's awesome. If you all get a chance to meet her, go say what's up. Anyway, and also if anybody wants to add me on Instagram, feel free to, Jared Meddy. It's a great way to get a hold of me. And yeah, I respond a lot to that. Okay, now where were we? Let's get into it. Hold on a moment, please. I need to find, I have too many windows open right now. Here we go. Okay. So staging, very, very important, and we're able to offer it at no cost out of pocket to them. They do pay for it, but they pay for it after you sell the house. Okay, so are there any questions so far in this class?
Can we get these like Ignite, that what we're looking on the screen? Can we get all the whole book somehow to like
Yeah.
refer back to?
Yes. So that is going to be right here. I'm going to put it in the chat, and you can go ahead and get into it and get all of the materials. So I recommend going into the student or instructor resources. The instructor resources has all the answers already put into it. The student resources is just a blank PDF that you can get, which is what we're reviewing today. Okay. All righty. So just want to make sure I'm still sharing this right screen. Okay. So greet. Entering and touring the home is key moment, and it can also be emotional and exciting. Greet the seller warmly and thank them for the privilege of the appointment. So what are some things that we would want to do, and I hope the entire class can chime in. What are some things that we should be mindful of and make sure we're doing when we are meeting the seller for the first time? Do we want to just walk around the house and go, I'm going to go walk around the home real quick? Or would we want them to give us a tour?
We want them to give us a tour.
Absolutely. We want them to give us a tour. They know the house better than we will ever know it. They know all the nooks, the crannies, where they wrote their kids' initials in the cement in the backyard. They know where the attic is, all that fun stuff. So we want them to give us a tour. Also, by them giving us a tour, this allows us to get our little notepad and take down notes. You know, when we're walking around the house and they're showing off a lot of these things, they're probably going to stop and show you some pictures. You know, maybe you might want to bring up some pictures. Oh my gosh, look at those pictures. They're so great. Is that your family? Oh, that's so great. We're also building rapport in this moment. So we want to talk with them. We want to be warm. We want to be excited to see their property. What are some of the things that they're really proud about? What are the best features of the home in their eyes? This is also going to allow us to determine, do they have really bad decoration taste? Maybe we shouldn't have a big screen TV blocking the window to the backyard. You know, we're going to find out a lot of things about them. So that's great. But when we first enter the house, should we, you know, go to the living room? Should we, you know, go to the kitchen? We have a bag and we have all this. No worries, Josh. We have a lot of, you know, we have a bag with us. We have, you know, our listing presentation. Where do we want to put that when we walk in?
Kitchen.
Perfect. The kitchen. Why is it that we want to go to the kitchen?
It's the most comfortable spot in the house where they can feel very comfortable.
100%. This question is for the guys, maybe some girls. On prom night, when you took your prom date out, where did you sit down? It was probably the living room, right? And it felt like an interrogation, didn't it? Why? Nobody sits in the living room. The living room is that one room in the house that is like a museum. Everything is in perfect position. Nobody's allowed to, like, you know, eat in the living room. You know, it is kind of almost like cold. It's warm. It looks inviting, but you're like, oh, I don't want to touch anything in here. So the living room I call the interrogation room. This is not a good place for us to first meet. This is not a good place for us to sit down and chat. When you're going over to a friend's house and you've already built rapport with and you're friendly with, where do you usually go when you first walk in? You walk into the kitchen. Do you want anything to drink? Can I get you some water? Do you want some snacks? Do you want some this? You want whatever? When you're hanging out and you're hanging out in the backyard at the pool and you go back into your friend's house and, you know, their kids are running around and going nuts. You're probably hanging out in the kitchen while the dad or the mom is making snacks for the kids. You know, you're hanging out at the pool, you're getting a drink yourself, you're making drinks, whatever. It's the kitchen. Everybody seems to congregate around the kitchen. So that's where we want to go first. So we go, hi, thank you so much for inviting me. Do you mind if I set this down in the kitchen? Your bag, your books, or whatever that you're bringing over, you set it down in the kitchen. You go, all right, great. What I'd really love to do is get to see the home in your eyes. I'd love it if you can take me around and give me a tour of the property. So you go around, you follow them around the property. All this stuff is important. And also, why is this equally important as far as the mindset of the seller? It makes it feel like they're in control. You know, you want them to feel like they're in control. They might not be. We might be very, very primed and ready to get them to sign the listing agreement right away on the spot, but we want them to feel like they're in control. They are in charge of this show. So when you're walking through the home, the kitchen table is the best place for the presentation because it is there. There, the sellers are most relaxed and friendly. Do you mind if I set things down in the kitchen? Keep your home checklist with you and leave everything else at the table. At the end of the tour, it will feel natural to return to the kitchen for the presentation. If possible, tour the house without the sellers. What? I don't believe that. Huh. I don't agree with that at all whatsoever. But that's what the book says. I don't agree with that. This will give you the ability to focus on the tour, not the sellers. You'll be able to control the time and agenda for the tour. Additionally, touring the home without the sellers will prevent the sellers from building up the home's value in their minds by telling you every little minute. Yeah, I guess that's a point, but I actually think that you should go with them because it helps you to build rapport. Anyway, listing presentation. The listing presentation is where you will convince the sellers to list with you. It's your opportunity to explain the reason. And by the by, let me ask you all, if you were selling your house and this real estate agent, you know, put their stuff in the kitchen and said, great, now I'm going to go walk around your house by myself, would that make them feel comfortable?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. So I don't understand what they're saying, but you know, it is what it is. You might maybe say, yeah, I'd love for you to give me a tour. You walk around the house with them and be like, great. Can I just walk around one more time by myself just so I can take a few more notes down? I just wanted to look at a couple of the areas. That's okay. You know, you might want to keep them within, you know, earshot or so they can see you. I don't think you need to walk into their closets again or anything like that, but you know, I can see that making sense, but you know, frankly, you want to make the sellers feel very comfortable with you. Okay, the listing presentation. The listing presentation is where you will convince the sellers to list with you. It's your opportunity to explain the reasons why they should hire you to list their home and the list price you recommend. By the by, I think this was written for the majority of America, where you might just have a 2-bedroom house and, you know, a bathroom. We're in Beverly Hills. We have 15-bedroom homes. You're going to walk around with a seller. I'm telling you, that's kind of funny that they say that. Anyway, listing presentation. The listing presentation is where you will convince the sellers to list with you. It's your opportunity to explain the reasons why they should hire you to list their home and the list price you recommend. At the listing appointment, you will create a great impression to build the seller's confidence in you as a real estate agent to get their home sold. Share your price recommendation. This is very important, and there's an art to this, by the way, and we'll go over that in a little bit. The initial list price for their property, one that's designed to get their home sold in the shortest amount of time and for the most money possible. Set expectations for how you will market the home and work with the sellers. Next, you will review the entire seller's listing presentation. You can go page by page to learn the materials in order to provide a valuable customer experience. Eventually, you will memorize this entire presentation and its related scripts. This will be crucial for your success as a listing agent, as many before have found. So when we're talking about the listing presentation, what I like to do is I will print out 2 copies for the seller, and then I will have 1 copy that's on a slideshow on my computer. I have a computer that can be set up as a tablet. I can just remove my keyboard and I just, you know, set it up and I put it in front of me on the kitchen table. And I have my little mouse that's not next to me right now, but it's a Bluetooth mouse. So I can just click, 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 and it just goes through the presentation. And I'm not even like swiping or anything. I'm just kind of like, you know, looking at what page we're on and just like kind of talking with them. And so they can see it right in front of them. Now, as far as memorizing it, you should memorize it as much as possible before the listing presentation. So if you have a listing presentation, you're going to do it, I highly recommend memorizing it beforehand. I did what? Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I got a weird text message. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so you're going to want to memorize your listing presentation ahead of time. It's just going to be much more effective that way. That's why a lot of the new agents are going to be working with mentors, mainly because you might get nervous in your first listing presentation. That's completely normal. The mentor, hopefully, if you're able to bring them along with you, can be that person who can fill in those gaps if there's ever like a, what do I say now, kind of situation. And so that's why it's great to be working with the mentors for your first 3 deals. If you're an experienced agent coming from another office, that's not applicable to you, but it really, really does help. So essentially, when you're sitting in front of the client, I'm barely even going on what's said on the listing presentation because I already know what's there. I'm talking about what we're going to be doing, except if it's like a bullet point thing, then I will list it down verbatim. But we're really trying to just have more of a conversation. What do I say about scripts all the time? It's a conversation parameter. It's not verbatim, line for line, word for word, period, comma, exactly. We're just having a conversation. And I basically, whenever I do cold calling, I have like bullet points. I started out the same way, and then I just go through the points that I'm trying to get, questions I'm trying to touch upon. Same thing for a listing presentation. Okay. All right. What else? So this is going to be going into a guide to selling your home. This goes on for a lot of pages. What I want to discuss with you right now is how do we determine a good sales price for your seller? Let's say, we run the comps. Obviously, it's going to be done by comps, but you're sitting at the kitchen table and they're asking you, so how much do you think my house is worth? What do you say? You already know how much you think it's worth. Do you tell them right then and there, or how do we go about it?
So I would focus on getting the most amount of offers to let buyers compete for the property.
Definitely. So Alex, let's do a hypothetical situation. Okay.
Okay.
Remember that property that I had on my Instagram?
Yeah.
So let's get back to that real quick. So that property sold for $1.7 million, right?
Yeah.
So let's say all of a sudden she goes, so that's clearly market value, $1.7 million. Somebody bought it for that, that's market value. That's how we determine market value. So let's say I'm going to resell it again. Just 1 month later, the person says, I want to sell it again now. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but let's just say I didn't sell this house, but I did all the comps. All the comps say it's worth anywhere between 1.65 and 1.75 million. So it's $100,000 gap, give or take. And that's pretty much where it's worth. But they all of a sudden go, well, I think it's worth 1.8 million. Obviously, they're high. How do I get them to come down to a more realistic number?
Well, that conversation you had about percentage of market share you would get based on where it's priced relative to market value. So I would really just want to emphasize that the goal of the list price is to generate the most traffic from qualified buyers.
Right.
And there's no way, value is subjective. There's no objective value for any one piece of property. So to get the most subjective value, we need to have the most eyeballs on it.
Okay, so they want 1.85, but we've determined that it's only worth anywhere between 1.65 and 1.75. So yeah, going down 10% would bring us into that, realm. It would be 1.665. But let's say they wanted even higher than that. Let's say they wanted 2 million. Going 15% down on that, we're still out of the target zone, aren't we?
Well,
So
yeah, I would want to know how they came up with their figure.
So how would we do that?
I would ask them.
And let's say, because they said that house across the street sold for that much, how would we show them that their house is in fact not worth as much as that house?
We compare it.
Boom. We do the comps. So when we're talking about price and we're talking about another, seller or our seller, and they're talking about price and they're a little bit high, we're not going to disagree with them right away. What we're going to want to do is we're going to go, I like how you came up to that number. That's an ambitious goal. I like it. Listen, I don't know exactly how much your house is worth right now, but I have brought some comparables over. Let's review them together, and you and I can come up with a price together after reviewing the comparable properties that have sold. Sound good? Sounds great. Awesome. So then you're going to bring up all your comps. Let's say you have four comparables. One sold for that $2 million, that $2 million house across the street, right? But the other ones sold for, 1.75, 1.6, and then the other one was 1.7. The differences between these houses, the $2 million one had a complete remodel on the inside. Everything was redone. There was recessed lighting. There was, custom windows that were redone. I don't know if you can see on my screen that I'm sharing right now, but those louvered windows? Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this house had those, which everybody hates, by the way. It's horrible for energy efficiency. It's horrible for noise. Everybody hates them. So it still had those, but those were redone on the $2 million one. The floors were redone. They have brand new, French oak floors. The the electrical was rerun. This house that we sold had cloth wiring, but this other house was completely redone. It basically was taken down to the studs and just refinished. So that was the difference of the $2 million one versus this one. The other one that was sold for 1.6 something looked kind of like this, but there was no updating done at all. There was no repaint job. They had really shitty floors. The bathrooms were horrible. It was in bad condition. It looked like it was just in disarray all over the place. So that's a little bit too low. But then the other one that was sold for 1.75 and the one that sold for 1.7 look almost exactly like this home. So what we would do then is we would go, great, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I love how you have that number in mind. Let's go review the comps together. So like you said, you want the $2 million sales price like the home across the street. So let's look at that. How would you say, and you look at the pictures and you look at the square footage and you look at the lot size and we go, well, great. The square footage, they have about 200 square feet more than us. Their lot size is, 500 square feet bigger than ours. The house itself was completely remodeled on the interior. Wow, can you take a look at that kitchen? They have a brand new, open concept kitchen into the living room. It has a farm sink and white Carrara marble and all this awesome, whatever. Great. And how does your kitchen compare to this? Oh, shoot. Our kitchen, yeah. Well, we haven't updated it since we moved in 30 years ago, but it still looks nice. I agree. I think it looks gorgeous. In fact, I think a young couple would see this and be nostalgic of the home that they probably grew up in. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Well, listen, so the $2 million house obviously has some more upgrades, right? Yeah, it is upgraded a lot more. Okay, so let's look at some of the other comparables. Oh, wow, this one sold for 1.6. Let's see what happened there. That's okay. Let's look at that. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, they have a bright yellow sunroom and they have, a blue bedroom and a pink bedroom, and the walls are painted, Navajo, white, which is ugly. So obviously your home does look better than this, wouldn't we agree? Yeah, it does look better than that 1.6. Okay, so it's better than the 1.6 one. We agree? We agree. Great. So let's look at this one that sold for 1.7 and 1.75. Oh, wow, that looks like our house. I know, it's crazy. Oh my gosh. You know, it's funny, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I did a little bit of research. All these homes were built around the same time. They were tract homes, and they were actually built for the studios. Were you aware of that? Yeah, no, I heard about that. It's fascinating. Yeah, no, it's really cute. So a lot of these homes have a similar layout. Yeah, I suppose they do. Yeah. So let's look at these. What do you think about this home? Well, yeah, I think that, you know, ours is a little bit better than the 1.71, and I think maybe it's about on par with the 1.751. Okay, so we're in agreement that we should probably list at 1.7 or 1.75. Yeah, I guess so. Great. And that's typically how I like to get people into the reality zone of where we should be priced. Now, if you find out that the person's just not realistic and they're like, well, we want to still list it for 2 million. Okay, then we're going to have the conversation about staging and about, you know, how much would you be interested in, you know, doing repairs or remodeling and stuff like that. But then even then, I would also end up having the conversation of, listen, we can do all of this and we can spend $50,000 to $100,000 to try to get your house, you know, up to par with that home, which is fine. There's definitely enough of a spread there. But if we don't get that $2 million, you know, sales price, can we agree right now that we'll revisit it, you know, in 3 weeks after it hitting the market? And if we still don't have offers by then, let's have a discussion about reducing the price. Agreed? And then they'll usually agree to that. And so, Alex, just so you know, that's how I typically will try to get somebody into a more realistic zone. Is I give them an A and a B option. It's like, well, this one is 2 million. This one's 1.6. Are you as good as the 2 million one, or are you as good as the 1.6 one? And they're going to go, no, we're in the middle. And I'd be like, great, I agree with you too. And that typically is what I would do. And then from that point, 1 second, Albert. Then from that point, once we agreed on the realistic price, then I'm going to show them that, hey, but if we're priced 10% below market value, we'll get 60% of the market share. Or if we're 15%, or we'll get 75% of the market share. And if we're 15%, we'll get 90% of the market share. What do you want to do? And they'll usually go around 5% below. But the point is when we can identify price, like where it should sell around, and then go down 10 to 15% below market value, we're in even better position to sell the house in a quick and lucrative manner. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. Albert, what was your question?
All right, so my question is, so what happens after you come to a decision with the seller to list the house for 1.7 million? And then after an appraiser comes in, they say that the house is actually worth 1.2 million.
Well, you would hopefully have somebody who wrote an offer with a no appraisal contingency, meaning that, you know, they're willing to go through with the deal even if it doesn't appraise. But Albert, if I'm being honest with you, it's not rare for that to happen, but that much of a discrepancy is pretty rare. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to have, you know, to have a $500,000, you know, difference is, I guess it could, you know, with this situation. So 1.2 is considered to be land value. When we were first showing this property, people were looking at it like it was a teardown, if that makes sense. You know, it just, there's not even worth keeping the house up. But just by putting a little paint and a little bit of lipstick on it, you know, people were able to see that it was actually a really great house and the layout was nice and this was nice and whatever. So I see what your point is and what you're getting at. But if I were to look at, you know, a lot of the homes, our curb appeal was really nice. The interior was really nice. You know, everything looked up to par, if that makes sense. And as a realtor, you're going to have to learn how to, like, you know, understand the differences of that. That's where the bit of the artwork comes in. But you know, if I had an inkling that we were not going to appraise, Albert, I would make sure we were receiving offers that had no appraisal contingency. And in that situation, Albert, what the buyers would do is they'd make up the difference of the appraisal. So they'd have to come up another $500,000 in cash. Now, the other flip side is you could also ask for another appraisal. Make sense? All right. So yeah, you ask for another opinion from another appraisal company. So sometimes you'll get, the bank or the lender typically orders the appraisal. And sometimes just by the luck of draw, you'll get like some appraiser who's from, Rancho Cucamonga, who's used to appraising homes in Rancho Cucamonga and not West Los Angeles or Bel Air or Beverly Hills. So in that situation, you may notice that their appraisal comes in a little bit funky and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about? Don't you see that this house looks nicer than those houses? Come on, this is ridiculous. And then I would ask for a second opinion and go for another appraisal. All right. Okay. Any other questions in regards to that?
Yeah, I have a question.
So,
Do you ever have like pushback from people or like any resistance if like you're trying to compare their home to a nicer home? Like obviously there's like a sentimental attachment to their own home.
All the time.
Are people able to like?
All the time. My house has 100 extra square feet, so it is worth $2 million more. It has a walk-in closet, so it's worth $300,000 more. Yeah, all the time, and it does happen. And that's where we have to be cool, calm, collected, and just be like, I understand that, and to me that would make sense. So we have two options here. We can go ahead and keep it at that $300,000 more because it has a walk-in closet. But if we do that, could we also agree that if it doesn't sell in 3 weeks, that we're going to have a meeting to talk about reducing the list price? And then usually they'll go, okay, fine. And it's like, listen, and they're like, well, hold on, wait a second. If it doesn't sell, then why would I want to, reduce the price? Well, ma'am, if you're very sure, ma'am, sir or ma'am, if you're very sure that your house is worth this much more, then let's go ahead and put it on the market and test it. I'm still going to put the exact same amount of marketing into it. I'm still going to put in the same amount of, legwork into what we're going to do. We're still going to stage it. We're still going to do this. And I'm going to put up my own money for marketing. So, frankly, if I could sell it for $300,000 more, that makes more sense to me. That's more money in my pocket. Believe me, I want to sell it for a lot more. But is it realistic? And what I'm nervous of is if all of a sudden we put it $300,000 above market value and we get no offers. And then by the time we reduce it, people look at it like, oh, there's something wrong with the house. So you see what I'm talking about, sir or madam? I really just want to make sure we're in a realistic price range. And while I do love that walk-in closet, somebody could build a walk-in closet on the side of their house for $50,000 or less. So I just want to make sure we're, our value that we're adding onto it is realistic. And most of the time they'll come down. Now, in the case that they really think it's worth, way more than it's really worth, you're going to have to make a judgment call. And you're going to have to go, do I really want to invest, $1,500 worth of marketing for this property just to say that I have a listing? And, some people, yes, some people, no. I personally wouldn't. And I would say, thank you so much for your time, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to assist you because I just honestly, truthfully feel that we're outside of the market. And sure enough, I have lost a listing that way. And the gentleman who took the listing took it at the price that they wanted to sell it for. It sat on the market for over 6 months. Eventually, they did reduce it to the price that I said it would likely need to be listed at, but they didn't put it at that price. Somebody offered that price and they said, fine, we'll take it. But my argument was if you listed it at that price originally, it would have gone above that price. So they left money on the table. And in fact, they ended up calling me and they said, you were right. And I was like, well, sucks you're moving into North Carolina because not much I can do there, but thank you for the consolation prize. But in real estate, listen, we're in sales. We want to tell people what they want to hear all the time because we want more sales. But A good salesperson is also going to come from honesty, and they're going to give you professional, give them the professional courtesy of being brutally honest in some situations, you know. So that's what I would say to that. You know, any other questions?
Could you say like, well, you know, a lot of people won't even, you know, bother looking at properties that are like priced too high, and then kind of let them know about like with the current interest rates that, you know, there's a lot of bidding wars. So even if you price it a little bit lower than you want, you know, you get a lot of people fighting against each other. Just that's going to push the price up by itself, you know?
Yep, absolutely. And Joseph, the fun thing is, you know, people in Los Angeles who are homeowners, they're very, 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 very savvy on this concept of pricing it below market value and selling well above. And you'd be surprised at how savvy people actually are in Los Angeles. You know, what I like to call it, so it's interesting. A lot of the higher end homes, they shoot for a astronomically high price and sell below. The average price homes typically price it below and sell a little bit higher. And that just seems to be the trend. A lot of developers who develop these like big mega mansions, they want to shoot for the moon right off the bat. And, you know, they know that the pool of buyers that could possibly afford their house is very small. So if they end up doing a price reduction, they know that the buyers are like, great, it finally reduced. I'm still biting. I'm still here. So it's a little bit of a different market. Whereas, you know, the $1 million to $3 million price range, you know, the strategy really is to go a little bit below and sell a lot higher. And it's interesting. The people who are well off, but not the uber rich, still have to care about their finances. They're still focused on their finances. You know, somebody who's making, you know, $500,000 a year who bought a house, let's say they're making $200,000. Let's say, you know what, let's say they're making $150,000 a year, but they bought their house 30 years ago for $700,000, but now it's worth 3 million. You know, these are people who are actually monitoring their finances constantly, monitoring market trends constantly. They're obsessed with it, in fact. So they actually might be a little bit more inclined and a little bit more savvy than, you know, somebody who's going to sell their house for 20 million. You know, they don't care about money, the $20 million person. They have money. It's just like, hey, if it works for me, I'll sell. You know, where these people are like, I actually have an opportunity to be a millionaire now. Like, holy crap. Let's do this right. Let's not get greedy. Let's go ahead and go for it. Yes, price it, you know, 10, 15% below market value. So I actually like working with those people a little bit more than the uber rich, because the uber rich, they don't give a crap. They're, you know.
With those uber rich people, are they more likely to give you a longer contract?
No, not necessarily. That's luck of the draw. Depends on the person. Everybody has different personalities. You know, if you're working with a developer, it's a little bit more business minded. So you might be able to have an opportunity to have that conversation a little bit more frankly. But yeah, it really depends. It honestly really depends. Alexandra.
Yes, I have a question regarding, I'm not sure if I understand, what do you mean by pricing it low, but then selling it higher? Like, so let's say it's 1 million, you price it at that price, and then how do you sell it higher?
So, okay. So if I have a listing, so the house that I sold for 1.7, we, I think listed it for like 1.6 something or rather. And we sold, you know, above that. And why did we do that? Because we had multiple offers.
Multiple offers. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we're marketing. Well, I'll use another example. Yeah, I mean, you could use any example, frankly. So, you know, a house is worth $1 million. We agree to price it at 950,000, but it ends up selling for 1.1 million. Why does that happen? We gave it such an attractive price that so many people went after the house that people eventually were just like, let's write well over asking price, because you know what? We lost on those two other houses. We're approved for up to 1.3. So let's just go ahead and say, screw it, 1.1 million. Let's grab it from everybody else. beat them out of the equation and just take it, you know. And
But that's once the market is hot, right? Like if the market is not hot, you're not going to be able to do that.
that is correct. So right now we are in a fortunate situation where we're in a very hot market, and it's in our favor. When it flips, and let's say, for example, you have a lot of foreclosures, you know, the bank will tell you, hey, we're going to sell it for a loss. We just want to recoup what we needed back. So let's say it's worth 1.2. Let's go ahead and sell it for 1 million flat, and we're fine with that. We're going to go that much lower market value to bring in more buyers. Or let's say interest rates are super, super high, and it slows, you know, the buyer pool down. So what's going to happen there? You're going to go, listen, if you really want to sell, we're going to have to be, you know, under market because of the interest rates, and there's not enough buyers on the market. You know, they can go anywhere, you know, and that's typically what would happen in a buyer's market, that people are almost forced to sell their homes, which is very unfortunate. But you know, they just can't afford it anymore, and they just need to get out, you know, and it happens. It does, you know, it's very unfortunate, and nobody likes to see that. But, you know, I hate to say it, a lot of agents make their careers in those markets. You know, they end up having like 20 listings, you know, maybe only 5 of them sell, you know, in the first couple months, but, you know, all of a sudden it becomes a volume thing. So luckily enough, we're not in that market. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation when you're in a buyer's market. That's it's a very doom and gloom kind of situation where you have a lot of investors buying up properties, you know, big money's coming in, you get a lot of cash offers, lending is a little bit, you know, tight. And unfortunately, a lot of the people are selling because they can't afford to live there anymore. They're in foreclosure, etc. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All righty. Any other questions before we go? All righty. Well, thank you all so much. I hope that this was informative. And more importantly, make sure you make some calls, some contacts, some door knocks, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be calls. A door knock counts as a call. A text message counts as a call. It's whatever you want it to be, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. And I want to see those numbers bump up, everyone who's on the zeros. But I have full faith in you, and have fun. Make it a good day, and see you all on Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Have a good one too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared.
Yeah.